Round 3 of the Trofeo Abarth 500 GB brings the teams to Cadwell Park and to a new audience. Charlie Butler-Henderson, a driver busy signing autographs for a whole new crowd because this weekend they're supporting British Superbikes. Last time out at Silverstone, race 1 was won by Stefan Hodgetts, but he retired from race 2 despite making a good start. That left Ben Winrow in the race lead, and Winrow came through to score his first victory of the season, Gareth Howell having been a double winner at Alton Park. The result put Ben Winrow back in the hunt in the championship, but Gareth Howell left Silverstone as the championship leader, with Charlie Butler-Henderson second ahead of Winrow. Benny Simonson was fourth ahead of Josh Wakefield and Paul Smith. But we've already had one race this weekend at Cadwell Park, and that was a win for Stefan Hodgetts. Winrow was second and CBH third. And so the second 30-minute race of the weekend is about to get underway. Glorious weather conditions here at a fantastic circuit, Cadwell Park. The Trofeo Abarth 500 GB competitors supporting the first of 2 visits to Cadwell, in fact, of the British Superbike Championship this year. And British Superbikes doesn't just give great racing, it also delivers an enormous crowd. And I'm glad to say that most of them have stayed ready for this last race of the weekend. And Stefan Hodgetts, a real Cadwell Park fan.
It was actually my first ever car race meeting that I had here at Cadwell Park. A bit of a daunting place to start everything off, but it set me in the right stead. And I had a real good race yesterday, good race win. So just looking forward to the race today.
So can Stefan Hodgetts do the double? He was the winner of yesterday's race by over 3 seconds from Ben Winrow. Charlie Butler-Henderson was third, Gareth Howell fourth ahead of Paul Smith and Josh Wakefield. And the cars make their way up onto the grid then, the end of the warming up lap. And so now, as soon as the starter is happy, we will get the green flag shown at the back to say everybody is where they should be. Then the drivers will look towards the lighting gantry. Well, there's the green flag, so everybody is present and correct. The man on pole position is Stefan Hodgetts. Is he going to be able to convert that into the lead of the race? The lights go out. Hodgetts gets a good start. Ben Winrow tries to level with him on the run up towards Charlie's for the first time, but it looks as though Stefan Hodgetts is just going to hang on in there. Ben Winrow gives him a little nudge as he tries to find room. Charlie Butler-Henderson slots it in third place, and with 2 wheels on the dirt there, Ben Winrow almost gets sideways. He slots into second place as they go there for the first time around this fantastic circuit. It's a real driver's circuit, Cadwell Park, and Stefan Hodgetts is the man that comes out up front. Winrow is second as they climb up towards Chris Curve for the first time. In third place is Charlie Butler-Henderson. And now Stefan Hodgetts is going to try to make good his escape as they turn their way into this double apex right-hander at the top of the hill, and then they've got to plunge down through the gooseneck down towards Mansfield, a very demanding part of the circuit. And Cadwell Park looking absolutely fantastic. The sun has been shining all weekend. It's been another good crowd here, and that's something else that really pleases the Trofeo Abarth drivers and sponsors to perform in front of such a big crowd. Now getting a little bit crossed up there, coming out of the gooseneck was the leader Stefan Hodgetts. Down through Mansfield, approaching the mountain for the first time. Ben Winrow is second, and then in third place, Charlie Butler-Henderson. He's lost a length or 2 to the leading pair for the moment. Is he going to be able to get back up there? 30 minutes of racing around here. You've got to be so careful to look after tyres, particularly with it being a hot day, as well as it being such a demanding circuit anyway. Hodgetts versus Winrow then. That's the top 2 as they make their way now towards the Hall Bends. Charlie Butler-Henderson is in third place and pulled off an absolutely stormy manoeuvre yesterday to get past Gareth Howell coming through this section of the circuit. It caught Gareth Howell mightily by surprise. All he heard apparently was this squeal of tyres as CBH came up on the inside and picked off the place. Well, now Charlie has got to be a hero once again, because first of all he needs to get back onto terms with the top 2. Over the line they come. Stefan Hodgetts leads the way. There behind him is Ben Winrow. Charlie Butler-Henderson in third position. And his championship rival Gareth Howell for the moment is really struggling. Gareth is way back, and the car not looking anywhere near as quick as it needs to be, so that's going to be a real handicap for him, because as he is struggling, everybody else is making hay while the sun shines. They're pulling away and building up an advantage over him. The race leader is Stefan Hodgetts. You can see number 3, number 4, the white and orange car is that of Ben Winrow, the Pyro Motorsport car, chasing after the Mardi Gras run car. They're getting away slightly now from the Advent Motorsport run car of Charlie Butler-Henderson and Ben Winrow on a narrow circuit, desperately trying to find an above 500 shaped gap which he can just run up the inside and gain a place. Stefan Hodgetts knows how to defend in one-mate racing, though. To be fair, Ben Winrow is no slouch in one-mate cars. Former Caterham champion, raced well in Seats, was a Clio Cup winner, and a good little battle developing lower down the order now. Number 45, Josh Wakefield here, coming under pressure from Paul Smith as they drop through the gooseneck downhill towards Mansfield now. Behind them is Fiona Leggett next in the queue. Paul Smith returning to racing this year after many seasons away, and he's right there on the back of Josh Wakefield. Fiona Leggett at her home circuit, comes from Boston. Cadwell Park, the Lincolnshire venue, her home track. She in turn is under pressure as well, because as they turn their way up towards the mountain, Fiona trying to attack Paul Smith and also keep at bay the car next up behind it. That's Matt Shedd, number 81. There should have been motorbike interest in the races this weekend. Jeremy McWilliams, former MotoGP racer, was out on Friday, but unfortunately had a rather large accident in the guest car and damaged it beyond repair for the weekend. So Jeremy McWilliams no more, and it rather looks as though Gareth Howell is no more from this race as well, because there he is in the pit lane, and the man that came to Cadwell as a championship leader looks as though he's destined to be a retirement. Stefan Hodgetts leading the way, and on this lap I would suggest is just edging clear of Ben Winrow in second place. Stefan Hodgetts, who's raced successfully in Porsches, in sports car racing, in one-make saloons, he's raced in single-seaters as well, 8/10 up at the end of lap number 2, and then Charlie Butler-Henderson. I just wonder whether Charlie already is starting to think about points here, because he will no doubt have clocked the fact that Gareth Howell is behind him and now in the pit lane, and Charlie knows that if these two really slug at it up front, there's the possible danger of taking one another off, and he can just scoop some points away from this. Equally, it is a long race. He's got to look after his tyres, as they all have, and so maybe he's content to let them set the pace for the moment. Certainly the gap has widened between the top two and the rest of them as they come downhill once more. Little dab on the brakes there from Stefan Hodgetts. Fantastic circuit, Cadwell Park, one that all the drivers love. The narrowness of it, the actual track width, rather precludes it from having too many powerful car racing categories here. It's great for bikes, but there's an upper engine limit for single-seater racing around here. One-make saloons, no problem, however, but it's not really a circuit that any of the major packages, like the touring car or Formula 3 GT package, ever get to. It's great for club racing. The leaders turn their way up towards the mountain. Fiona Leggett goes through. He just lost a little bit of ground on that lap, and definitely now the race leader is pulling away, isn't he? Stefan Hodgetts starting to escape as far as Ben Winrow is concerned. Still in third place is Charlie Butler-Henderson, and then for fourth and fifth places now, we've got Josh Wakefield ahead of Paul Smith. Turning their way up through the Hall Bends, there is Paul Smith in the immaculately presented car, run number 2 by the Mardi Gras Motorsport team. He's still chasing after Josh Wakefield, who comes now out of Barn Corner, up over the line. And Paul Smith desperately trying to get into his wheel tracks and perhaps find a little gap in which he can squeeze through and gain the place. But for the moment, the battle for fourth place is going the way of Josh Wakefield. Paul Smith riding shotgun as they turn their way now through Charlie's. Mardi Gras Motorsport that runs that car of Paul Smith, hugely experienced. The team founded many, many years ago by the late Martin Sharp and has had a very good track record in a variety of one-make categories over the years. And now Smith much, much quicker than Wakefield. He's right on the tail as they climb uphill. Great overhead shot this of the cars heading towards us. Is Paul Smith close enough to make a move as they come up towards Chris Curve? Let's see. Wakefield moves across, covers the line. You can see how narrow the circuit is, so Smith's going to have to be really brave to make the move. For the moment, he's unable to do so. They turn their way to the second element of the two right-handers and then drop downhill once more. Paul Smith desperately trying to pressure the car ahead of him into a mistake. Josh Wakefield hangs on to the place. 30 minutes of racing, and on such a physical circuit like this, in the hot temperatures, it's really going to take its toll on the drivers. We've almost got to the end of the first third of the race. Down through Mansfield goes Wakefield, and Paul Smith right on his tail as they make the run now towards the mountain. Smith moving to the inside there. Is that more in hope than in anticipation? I don't think there was really a gap there, but you can see what he's trying to do, just show his nose and unsettle Wakefield as they turn their way now up towards the mountain. Over the top of the hill, now through the Hall Bends up towards the hairpin, then down towards Barn they will go. Paul Smith has just lost a length. If he brakes really late now for the hairpin, he's going to be back onto terms with the man ahead of him, Josh Wakefield, and he is. The two of them come out of the corner almost nose to tail now, drop downhill into Barn through the right-hander. Stefan Hodgetts, though, is pulling further and further away now from Ben Winrow. Gareth Howell did the double at Alton Park. It was a winner piece for Hodgetts and Winrow at Silverstone, but it looks as though, if he is going to get through this without any drama, Stefan Hodgetts could do the double at Cadwell Park, and that would really set him up well for the championship. Bear in mind that he starts on the back foot anyway, because Stefan Hodgetts' deal came about rather late. He wasn't at Alton Park for the first two races, so the fact that he's dragged himself into contention already is very good news for him as far as the title race is concerned. And Ben Winrow found himself on the back foot at Alton Park as well. He crashed out of race 1 under pressure from Gareth Howell. He put a wheel on the dirt, lost control of the car, bounced off the barrier, did some suspension damage and caused himself a retirement in round 1. So Gareth Howell had a pretty easy run there into the lead of the championship. And And Charlie Butler-Henderson has had a good start to the season as well, consistently racking up points. And just trying to do some crude mental arithmetic, if things stay as they are now, I reckon CBH will leave Cadwell Park as the championship leader. And there he is, the Glyn Hopkin Limited backed car, going really well. Charlie in his first full season of racing for many, many years. He had a one-off outing in the Ginetta G50 Cup last year at Snetterton, but you've got to go back really to the middle part of the decade before you find him regularly racing in the British Touring Car Championship. He had a spell in for a time, and before that in sports cars in the Marcos Mantis Championship and in British GT racing. And Charlie Butler-Henderson elated to be back behind the wheel of a race car for a full season. Stefan Hodgetts, in the meantime, the race leader, turning his way towards the completion of another lap. We're at half distance now, looking at the clock. 30 minutes of racing into the second half now, and Hodgetts leads the way. He's already had 2 race wins this season. Is he going to be able to make it a third out of 6 races as they come across the line? Stefan Hodgetts goes through, and now controlling the pace, because falling away behind him there, look, in second is Ben Winrow. I just wonder whether Ben is now starting to settle for points, or whether he genuinely can do nothing about Hodgetts for pace. Ben Winrow had a rather frustrating season last year, only occasional races in the production BMW Championship. He did return to the Clio Cup for the 2 races at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit that supported the World Series by Renault, but just a very frustrating year for Ben last season, having to sit it out for the bulk and work on getting a budget for this year. Well, he's done just that. Pre-season, he was many people's favourite for the championship, but he had that accident at Alton Park that cost him points, and certainly now it rather looks as though Stefan Hodgetts is becoming the man to beat. Gareth Howell, of course, in the pit lane, as we saw, so he is in trouble. Ben Winrow can't, at the moment it seems, match Stefan Hodgetts for pace, and Hodgetts, with 2 wins already under his belt, leads the way here at Cadwell Park in this 6th race in the Trofeo Abarth 500 GB, and there's more after the break.